Hey all, WEGAF here. For those of you who saw my last video, you may recall I didn't say would, definitely, but rather promoted the idea that there would be a video of mine in September, and it might be rather cool. Well, I guess I shouldn't have said anything because I jinxed myself. What happened was I was working on the video in September and all was going along fine, and then I got sick. Nothing bad, just like a case of the sniffles, but it and its after effects cost me like a week and a half of working time, and then it was too late for me to finish on time, so yeah. Now, this is nothing unusual for this show. I've missed deadlines plenty of times before, but recently I have been I've been making a bit of a promise to myself, and that is, if I'm going to continue this show, and I am, I'm going to have to try and tighten up on the schedules. I'm going to have to try and get in at least one video per month. But sometimes, as is obvious, I can't do that because I get sick or catastrophe intrudes, whatever. So, as a fill-in thing, well, I owe you guys a video. So I welcome you to the introduction of a new sub-show, a show within a show, Comic Cook, in which I cobble together something in the kitchen that is at least vaguely comic book related. And probably Golden Age related, but something to do with comics that you can eat. Put in your pie hole. Yes. Right. So, what am I going to do this time? Well, to start with, this is a sieg, I don't know, whatever, but this video is dedicated to my friend John Hefner, who runs, he has a blog devoted to the character of Two-Face, Batman's second greatest enemy. I won't go into a whole spiel about who Two-Face is. You probably know, but one way or another, I had originally going to do something a little elaborate, but that plans for that fell through. So I was thinking, what am I going to do? And then I got a thought. I got an idea. I had just visited this blog, and I had Two-Face on the mind, and I thought, hang on a second. What about a Two-Face sandwich? As in open face, right? Open face, Two-Face sandwich. So I decided to make a Two-Face sandwich. And that is what I have cobbled together, or am about to cobble together, for your edification and enjoyment. So, to the kitchen! To make the Two-Face sandwich, you will need the following items and ingredients. 2 slices of bread, 1 onion, suitable for the slicing in suitable to be sliced, whatever. 1 slicing knife to do that. 1 spreading knife also to do that. Mayonnaise to be spread. Cheese. Specifically cheddar. 1 saucer. Yes, there's a reason why I need a saucer. A cutting board. Another cutting board. Again, reasons. They are there. Barbecue sauce of whichever variety you particularly prefer. This is Sweet Baby Ray's. 1 jar cocktail onions. I think you could probably also use like olives if you're an olive person, but I got the cocktail onions. A cheese slicer. Roast beef. Ham. Mushrooms. Nothing, not like fancy mushrooms, just like regular little white, sort of the button mushrooms. You know. Mushrooms. Pickles! These are bread and butter pickles, but you can also use dill if you want. I don't know what exactly the difference to the sandwich would be. And finally, the one thing you must not forget, 1 toothpick. Let's make a sandwich. As usual, I did forget one important thing. 1 apple core. Or you can also just use the knife, but the apple core will make it a lot easier, trust me. Now view these slices of bread. This is a rather important introduction because this is a two-face sandwich, right? So the whole point is you have 2 slices of bread, and Two-Face has 2 faces, 2 sides of his face. And you're supposed to make, the point of the sandwich is that it should resemble his face. So, as you can see, my bread that I'm using here is actually technically 1 halved slice from a larger kind of a domed loaf, which does kind of at least resemble in shape a face. If you're going strictly for aesthetics, you know, to make it look like a face, I would suggest either using that kind of bread or being clever with the more standard sort of square slices. You know, the whole point is that you have 2 slices of bread facing each other like this, and that well, you'll see. Anyway, moving on. The first thing we need to do is take this slices of bread. This is going to be the scarred side. Yes, I know this is the right slice of bread, and it's his left side that's scarred, but he's facing us, so that means it's the right side. I don't know, it's confusing and weird, but it's true. If you need the right side of his face, if you need the left side of his face, you get the right side of bread. So, this side, and another thing I forgot, toaster or toaster oven. For this piece of bread, we are going to pop in the toaster just for a brief period. And that is because, A, being true to the character, his face got itself toasted. Or, splashed with acid, but whatever. And B, there are a lot of kind of oily things that are going to be piled on top of it, so stiffening up this kind of bread a little is never a bad idea. So, yeah. Toasting this, then back. There we are. Got a little ragged in the toaster, which is typical, but whatever. It'll still work. Right. Anyway, we're not dealing with that right now. First, we are dealing with the unscarred face of Lawyer Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face. The unacided side. Yes. So, first, we spread it with mayonnaise, however much you want. Next, the cheese. Take the cheese slicer and slice a nice even layer of cheese across the surface of the sandwich. I used, when I was trying things out for this sandwich, putting it together, I used Swiss cheese, but that is a little too mild. I'm trying to make this mild because it's, it's the good side. It's the light and happy fun side. You don't want to pile it down with extra ingredients. Or no, you don't want to make it. It needs to be super accessible. So that the idea is kind of making kind of a white bread sort of a sandwich. But that made it too white bread, and it was just, anyway. So for that reason, I have added onion also to the mixture. Just a little bit of onion. Just nice thin slices. Nothing fancy. Yep. Can't go wrong with the onions. Cannot. Is impossible. Can't go wrong with a nice bit of onion. Okay, that should be fine, I would think. Right. Moving on to the ham, which is where it gets a little involved. Select a nice piece of ham. Make sure it fits the slice nicely. Trim off the edgy bits and stick them underneath so they contribute to the sandwich but don't show. And make sure you've got everything. Got it. That's the layout of how of this particular slice of ham. That's how you want it. That's right. Having excuse me, a little bit of extra ham there. Having laid out the ham as it is to be laid out, now we get into the arts and crafts sort of things. We'll set our plate aside for the moment here and bring in our extra chopping board. See, this is what we need it for, because if you do it on a wooden chopping board, if you chop up meat, which is what we are going to be chopping up, or not chopping up, but slicing. If you do that on a wooden chopping board, as I understand it, it stains, so you are not supposed to do it. Not supposed to do that. So now what we do is, at one point, like let's say about here, yes, it's about a good place for his mouth, I would say. So we just cut out a little smile into the ham, and well, actually, we're not quite done with the ham yet, so we'll set it aside. But now is time for the mushrooms. Now, to start with, we will need one largish and one more sort of medium-sized mushroom. That, to start with, is what we need. First, let's start with the medium one, because that's that's the first, that is directly involved with the ham here, or will be the process. You take your apple corer. And you punch a hole. You core the mushroom. See? Just like that. Right. Now you have the cap, basically, with a hole through it. Now, first we cut that cap in half and set this bit aside for the moment, although be using it shortly, and that also off to the side. Now, we have what do we have left here? We have the stem, I believe. Now we take just this little bit of stem, just chop it off. Eat the rest if you want. And now comes the moment for the toothpick to shine. Just take the toothpick and poke. Poke in the inside like that. So you have a little pupil. Now, to use that, we bring back our ham, and determining where exactly the eye is going to be. Oh, whoops. There's still mushroom in there. Oh, actually, you know what? This is a much better. This is nicer and whiter and brighter, and forget this little thing. I'll take this bit of mushroom and poke a pupil in the middle with the thing. Yeah. Now then, like I was saying, figure out where exactly you want the eye, which is about here. Yeah. And cut away that little bit of ham. And just trim that out. And now take the ham, put it back on the sandwich in place. See? And now put the eye right there. Yeah. And it looks a little lonely like that. The eye does. So we take this bit of the cap that got cut away, and we cut it in half, or in this case it's kind of broken in half, but cut it in half and slice that, slice off some of it so you have a piece of it like this, and voila, a happy little eye with a happy little eyebrow. Oh, excuse me. But that's where the happiness ends, because we're done with this happy face. Now it's time for the evil face. So, yeah. First we do the obvious, which is to spread this side also with mayo. I'll spare you the spreading process. Now, having spread it, we set the plate aside for a moment, because we have more prep to do. we're returning to the mushrooms. Now you remember how there was one large and one medium. Well, we dealt with the medium, now it's time to do the large. What do we do with the large? We cut the large in half like so. Right through the center like that, see? Now you take one of those halves and you trim it so you've got one flat mushroom shaped slice like that, and turn it like that and cut into it, not all the way through it, just into it, a little bit of grid work. See, what you are cutting here is teeth, because this is meant to represent Two-Face's eternal grimace on the bad side of his face. See? I don't know if you can make that. Yeah. It's with the ever-exposed teeth in the scowl in the... Yes. Now, so, set that aside by the cap. We'll be needing those later. What we do now is we cut up some of these other onions into slices, and we cook them up in a pan with a little bit of butter. Oh yes, another thing I forgot, the butter and the pan. You will need a butter and a pan. Right, so I'll spare you the slicing. Let's get to the cooking. There, you see, just doing up the mushroom in the pan with a little bit of butter. Now I've got two special pieces off to the side. Just making sure to coat everything, get a nice coat of butter. And yeah, and a little bit of salt and do them up. Soon as they're slightly browned, then they are ready and may be considered as such. So I will cut to that point. Bingo! Done! Now, we take our mushrooms and we put them, and I better use a scoop, we put them on our little saucer so as not to mess up our nice clean cutting board. That's why we need the saucer. Yeah. Having accomplished this process, we go back to the chopping board. And there we go. Now, the next step, we take our mushrooms and we put them atop our sandwich on the burned, cooked, acidified side, leaving our two special pieces off to one side. We'll need them in a minute. Now, those are in place. Now, we take a slice of roast beef, and this, thankfully, we do not need to do anything in particular to, just make sure it fits. And tear off the excess there. Just, yeah. Make sure everything fits properly and looks nice. Right. Oh, and nudge that down a little bit there. Yeah. Well, that's not going to be perfect, but it'll work. No. little bit of salt on it, just to taste, because roast beef tastes better when it's salted. And take our barbecue sauce and squeeze a little bit of that on there. Not much, just a little. This works dynamite with roast beef, I tell you. Dynamite. Now then, now comes the time for our two special pieces to shine. See, now that is the mouth, that is the grim, that is the grin, that is the grimace. It could probably be a little larger, but whatever. That's what I had to work with. We take that and we put this in place right there. So now see, we have the eye, the eyeball, and the grimace. And the effect of the face is still not complete, but that's the next part. Now then, we have our pickles, and we take our pickles and we lay them around the eyeball and the grimace, and we may have to, in this case, you may have to cut to size to fill in the cracks if you're going for strict effect here, as I am. Just make sure it's all surrounded and worked in and intermingled. And I'll cut to the final results. Voila! Now there's just one final step. And well, it's a two-part step, so two final steps, I suppose. But what have you? It involves the cocktail onions and again the barbecue sauce. Now here is what you do. You take the barbecue sauce and you squeeze it into the eye there. You squeeze it so it's about 3/4 full. It's not always easy to be exact, but I think that's about 3/4 through full. Now, you take our cocktail onions and you get one with a toothpick and you take it and you shove it into the, actually I probably could have used a little more barbecue sauce, but you shove it into the center there, and voila! There we have our two-face sandwich. Both faces are done. Yeah, and I have worked up an appetite, so let's go to the table. So here we have our two-face sandwich. Now, the way this was conceived of is that because it is essentially two open-faced sandwiches, it was conceived of to either be perfectly palatable as, you can eat them as open-faced sandwiches, or you can eat them together as one full sandwich. I shall proceed to try both. Yeah. Good old ham, cheese, and onion. You can't go wrong with that one. Now for the evil face. Yeah. Pickles, mushrooms, roast beef, barbecue sauce. Nothing wrong with that one. Now let's try them both together, shall we?
Two faces become one once more. That's all very moving. Yeah. This is a good sandwich. The eyebrow. This is a good sandwich. There's some ingredients that kind of get lost in each other. You know, there's lots of oniony stuff and pickly stuff and mushroomy stuff. Oh, camera shook a little there. But it's a good sandwich. You might not think that the ham and the roast beef go well together, but they go fine. Two-face sandwich. Works as two faces, or as just as one. Now, I'm going to finish this. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Look forward to the next one. It'll be good. I'm working on it right now. And bon appetit.